everybody and welcome to a brand new YouTube channel. It's called Peas in the Pod. It's featuring myself and Danny, who's just here, just coming from the other side of the camera. We're down on Ortley Lane allotments, which is just on the outskirts of Rotherham, what, roughly 3 miles from centre?
Yeah, about 3 miles.
Yeah. This is the plot we're on at the minute is the plot I'm now into the 3rd year, so it was 2 years last January when I took this one on, which you will get to see more of in the future. This is a double plot, and I have another plot just across the way. Danny has a plot down the lane, which is how long have you been on, Dan?
It's 4 years this year.
4 years, so a bit more established than what I am. And then Danny has a brand new plot just across there, which he's had roughly shire a year, and sort of going into winter.
Yeah, so we're about 4.
So that's pretty virginal soil, really. Right then, what we're going to do is look at allotment life, allotments on site. What do we grow? We try and grow everything. We grow for show, we grow for the table, we dabble in basically anything. We've got orchids going, we've got the old money plants going, what we've done cuttings off, orchids, all sorts. This is a cold greenhouse. This is pretty much brand new. It's about 2 weeks old, so it's still unfinished. There's no slabs or path down yet, there's no guttering up, so it's still a work in progress. And then we also have heated greenhouse facilities, which I've got 2. Have you got 1 or 2 heated greenhouses, Dan?
Just 1 at the moment, but that will probably be expanding next year. Yeah,
basically just using gas cylinders as heating. It's a council run site, so we are restricted in that respect as electricity and that, because we haven't got anything like that. So yeah, so basically that's what we do. Right, what we'll be covering with the channel basically is we want to do it very much like you would a diary. So the old type diary, you've got your 12 months a year, you write articles, blah blah blah, reminders, what you've done, when you've done them, why you've done them, that sort of thing. We're going to do this bit in a more video style, obviously. So right, we'll crack on with what I've been doing today. So today has been in midweek. I had a delivery of a selection of dahlias and chrysanthemums, which did happen to come when we got roughly about 1 inch of snow on the ground. So the decision was, did I fetch him down to the greenhouse then, or did I stop at home? I've actually got a Vitapod propagator what I could put them in. So I sat them in the propagator, and hence why you can see there's a bit of discolouring on the leaves. They weren't like that when they arrived. That's just because they've had a bit of heat on the bottom and they've been under a strong light. But it's done the job. If I'd have brought these down from straight in a cold greenhouse, they'd probably be black now, and I'd have lost the lot, and there's over £100 worth of plants here. There's all different varieties. We've got your pom-poms in here, you've got your large decoratives, your semi-cactus, all different types of flowers. The varieties were chosen because these are something I want to show. So last year I bought a random selection of dahlias because I like the look of them in the catalogue, in the picture, like you do, there's nothing wrong with. When it comes to showing though, we noticed there were certain varieties what were going up bench and what were winning prizes. So it was a case of just taking a note what they were, getting on internet, finding out where they'd sourced them from, getting them plants in, so now I've got my stock in. These are basically stock plants. They've cost some money, fair enough, but these, if I look after them, do it right, I'll have these for as many years as I want. The same with the chryses. There's only 5 chrysanthemums. I'll probably be looking to double that up at least, so I've got 10, 2 of each variety. They're greenhouse ones, they're the large flowering chrysanthemums. Never done it before, but I noticed that when they had Rotherham show, our local show, there was only a couple of entrants for them, so I thought, why not, we'll have a go. We'll put them in heated greenhouse. Obviously that get turned off soon as frosts have gone. We'll have a go at growing them. So
will we get a video of us getting cuttings off of these to show people how to take cuttings?
Yeah, definitely, by all means, yeah. What we'll do as well is I did keep 1 variety back from stock last year, which is a pom-pom dahlia, Franz Kafka. They're in the warm greenhouse at the minute. They're the tubers. Now the tubers have thrown shoots up. So for next week, I'll fetch them in, show you how we take cuttings off at tubers. I have found that a cutting off of the tuber seems to root a lot more readily than what taking a cutting off of the actual plant does.
Yeah.
These do seem to be slower. But it'll be a couple of weeks till I take cuttings off these, because they've come as plug plants, as mini plug plants. I just wanted to get the feet, get the roots into this compost now.
Yeah.
I don't want to, as you can see, because they've been in the post and they've been in the house, they've gone under a bit of stress. So I don't want to put these under any more stress.
Yeah.
I just want to see these leaves get nice and green. They're just in a standard clover compost, and I've just added a very small amount of ulfanorm just to help green them up. It's a slow release nitrogen, ulfanorm. It's 13% nitrogen. It's a straight nitrogen fertiliser. That's been today's quest then. We've sorted them out. Been up and got some buckets, because like I say, we grow all sorts of different stuff. They'll be for the large onions, for the heavyweights, which we'll be seeing. We both grow heavyweights. We grow a lot of heavy big stuff, don't we? These are the giant Cornish cabbages.
Yeah,
you know,
which we usually have a good go.
Yeah, I think you won it last year at Rotherham, didn't you, with a giant cabbage?
Yeah, I think we're around £52 or
yeah,
something.
you'll not win it this year, Dan, but there you go.
Wow.
So we've got a selection there. We've got some more in that greenhouse, which are the reselected, but we've staggered the sowing times because you're trying to cover for shows at end of day. Out of this lot, there looks a lot of cabbages here, then the same again in there. I'm growing 6. So again, growing for showing, you've got to be selective. Don't keep trying to keep hold of your plants and have greenhouses and greenhouses full of plants.
Yeah, just pick the best.
You've got to go down to your best plants. If you look at them now, you think, well, how can you tell? You know, a glance at them, they're all cabbages. But straight away, you start looking, you'll see.
I'll just come back in.
They're the same seeds, sown on the same day, exactly the same conditions. That one's already streets red.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, you can see what's got the vigour. You know, which plants are showing more of the vigour. You cannot let these sit still. What do I mean by that is, as soon as the pre-growth on, these have been in a week now, so they're not showing, but as soon as you see any white on there, they go up a pot size. You've got to keep them moving. That's what we talk about, plants being checked.
Yeah.
This is the time of year for that to happen. How that happens is if you start being lackadaisical, for want of a better word, with your watering. So you need to keep them watered. Obviously you don't want to drown them at this time of year because you haven't got temperatures yet. Last week's temperatures were a freak. And like I said, as soon as you see them roots moving, you move them up. You don't want them to check. Any checking growth now will affect what you finally get at the
you're
end
going to
of
get
season.
some setbacks.
Same if you flick onto onions and leeks, you start getting checks and growths and things not quite right now, you'll get them running to seed on you.
Yeah.
The trouble is with that is you've already put expense in growing them all the way through that season, into bigger pots.
Yeah.
So that's that. The other thing I think we said we were going to mention was just to have a look at this compost today, weren't it?
Yeah.
You know, obviously gives a bit of leeway. We're new to this; it's not something we do, but we'll pick it up and we'll get better at it. So, right, basically, I use free compost. We're not sponsored and never intend to be sponsored by anybody, so we can always give you a genuine review of everything we use, for good or bad. And the heavy one, it's not good for the hernias, but there you go. Right. So we've got free compost. Johnny this, been around for a lot more years than I have. Well established compost, John Innes number 2. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Varying the actual richness, the nutrients in them. Number 1 being the weakest. It's what you're using for seedlings. Number 2, standard potting. Number 3, looking at something that's a bit greedier, like when you get your tomatoes onto planting stage. Clover multi-purpose, pretty much. I won't say bog standard, but it's a peat-based compost. It pretty much is what it says on the packet. It's multi-purpose compost. And the seed and modular, right, what's the difference then? Bear with me, Danny will hear a song or something.
Yeah.
So that's your Johnniness. Soil-based compost. This clover, it doesn't normally have the perlite in, so I've already added a bit of perlite to it, which I do. That's your multi-purpose.
Much more coarser, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, that's your seed and modular. Basically all modular, what they mean by modular is your first pot. So, like this celery, which is Evening Star. That's a modular. So they've been set off in a seed tray, got the first two leaves on, then being pricked out into a modular. That's what it's saying that compost is for. That's why it's been seed and modular. Also ideal for growing your carrots in, because it's a lot finer grade. The main differences then, right, your Johnniness. If you look at that, your peat's very open and inert. That looks to me, that looks lifeless. There don't look any life in that whatsoever, which there isn't. You look at your soil based, could quite happily see a big old earthworm come creeping out of there.
Definitely.
It's got some life in it. And obviously, finally, your seed and module, very little nutrient in, because you don't want to be feeding young plants too rich for compost. Very lightweight, exactly what it says on the tin. Now, as far as growing plants go in pots, peat compost, yep, for your young plants up to roughly what I call, that's 7 centimetre, I call them tomato pots, because it's what fellas grow on. I go a plant to that size. This is Penstemon Raven, by the way. It's some cuttings I've done. I just pretty much just peat based in that size. Yep. Now, the disadvantage of that when you get into bigger pots, sort of what these pictures are in, although well, no, pictures are a bad one to show. Show these 1 litre pots. You're going to have to be watering a hell of a lot more with a compost that's that open.
Yes.
It's not going to hold water. So that's where I look to my Johnniness. Now, you've got that what's very light, but the downside I find with Johnniness is it's very dense. You know, that don't break up easy.
No.
A good compost, if you can get the euphemism, should be if you dip a sponge in a bucket of water and it's absolutely soaking, wring the sponge in your hand. That's how you want your compost to be. That's how you want your consistency of your compost to be. So what you'll find a lot of gardeners, and good gardeners, is they'll do that. You put some Johnniness number 2, depending on what your growing varieties you're growing, into that compost, 50-50 sort of mix. You're getting best of both worlds. You haven't got that heaviness of Johnniness, which I'd never sow seeds straight into Johnniness nowadays, because I think it's too heavy a compost. The young plants struggle to get the roots down and they struggle to get going in it.
Yeah.
They'll grow through it a lot easier in straight peat, especially in that stuff. Look, there's no resistance in that whatsoever. There's sand in it as well, which is a great benefit to plants at that seedling stage. But then when you start putting that in, things even like when you bring your potatoes into buckets, put some Johnniness in, and one of the great benefits of that as well is it'll cut down on your watering. You get a dry spell, you're watering that every day.
Yeah, definitely.
You can get it down to nearly once a week with good Johnniness composting. You put stuff out to your beds. You might water them when you plant them. You might not have to water them again.
Yeah, you can go for
But that does depend a lot, which we'll go into in coming weeks, what you add to your soil. You know, you've got, every time you add organic matter, you form your manures, leaf moulds, blah, 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 green manures, you're improving your soil structure, which is improving your water retention, which cuts down on your work, which is very important. If you've got an allotment, and you're also like Danny is, you've got a young family, you all have a country working, you don't want to be having to come down here every night, if you can, 2 to 3 hours watering.
Yeah,
it stops being fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it takes the fun out of it for you.
It does, yeah. So the more you can reduce that, a few sensible steps, then the better it is for you. But like I say, you'll see a lot of that as we go through. And I think that's about it for the moment. It's just really just to let you know we are what we're looking to do. Just to quickly say, we've got some vento onions in here, which are a normal table size onion, should we say? You know,
yeah,
it's Spanish onion size. Yeah. Again, done from seed as opposed to sets. The reason for going from seed is a very lot less prone to running to seed on you, bolting, as it were. Not very often you'll get a seed onion that'll do that on you. Again, grow on slightly the dry side. They don't want to be too wet because then you start getting trouble with botrytis, basically rot. Been through the cabbages, we've got a few. Oh, I've got an orchid in the corner. I will be doing a bit on them in the coming weeks. So I know a lot of people, especially after Mother's Day, they buy orchids, they look beautiful for a week, then they struggle with them. There's a few tips and ways to do them, what we'll go into. It's nothing complicated. You don't need a degree in botany to grow an orchid. It honestly is that simple. I'll show you how to take cuttings of them and get some more orchids. I've got a few cuttings what I did on here. They are the penstemon raven, which I've got a little herbaceous border at the bottom. So I took some cuttings off them. They're the original cuttings. These are the cuttings off the cuttings. They are a couple of other varieties of penstemon, which is the sour grapes, a blue flowering one. The raven being more red, a deep red. Forget word for deep red now. And then you've got the old money plant there, some cuttings off the money plant. That is a succulent, that root's easy as anything. Very good starter plant if you get interested in bonsais, which we also have a few trees which we'll fetch and have a look at one day. So, we're going to post every Sunday, we're looking at that?
We're going to aim for every Sunday.
Yeah. Dan's will be a lot more the technical side. He's a year or two younger than me, so he's, I'm still trying to work video. So we'll keep at it. We'll put one on every week. There won't just be me studying talking or Dan talking. We will be doing stuff.
Get a little bit of what we're doing and how we do it, sort of thing, and
why.
And to tie it in with when stuff due for planting, etc. and stuff.
Yeah, that's like we're saying. If we do it as like a video diary, we'll be doing stuff at the time it wants doing. Just give or take, because you've got 2 weeks grace from one end of the country to the other. And
otherwise you get caught out with frosts.
All your cabbages are ready in June. Just a little tip as well. Like, I've just mixed that compost. Obviously you could just mix it all up. It's not hurting out that. Obviously I can put it back in a bag, but if you get down, you're doing that, you think, I've mixed too much compost, but I've got to go, I've got kids to pick up from school, whatever, blah blah blah. You'll leave it like that, it'll be no good when you come back. Especially if it's time of year when the sun's out and it's warm. If you've got a bucket, just stick a bucket off.
Just keep moisture in.
That's it. Keep light off, keep sun off it, keep moisture in. You can leave that. You could probably leave that for near a month. Lift lid up, you're good to go. If it has just dried, just a little bit, one of them, 99 pence from Wilco's. Same on any cuttings you do. If you're walking past, that's it, that's enough. That'll do it, that'll keep them going. So that's first one from Peas in Pod in Can, innit?
That's it.
So thank you for watching. If you have, please tell a friend. And we'll take it from here next week,
that's it.
And we will be looking at...
What did we say we were looking at?
What we're looking at. We're going to look at some dahlias.
Doing
some dahlia cuttings off at tubers. And we'll get... we
said we were going to get some organic stuff, some peat-free.
Peat-free compost. We'll sow a tray of seeds in exactly the same seeds. I'll pick some up so we've got the same variety. We'll do a tray in some peat-based and a tray in non-peat-based compost. We'll take them plants all the way through season, see if there's any sort of... what the difference is. What we'll do is we'll grow something that's going to stop in a pot.
Yes.
So it can have the peat free and the compost, the peat-based, all the way through season.
Yeah.
As opposed to something that's going to get planted in a bed.
Yeah.
Also, we have got some aqua pots, which we're going to set 2 of them up for next week.
Yeah, they're getting set up.
Which will be, they'll be coming in here. I'll be making some space. Stuff wants jiggling. It's the way it's been this week. Make space in here. I've got 2 heavyweight onions potted up in there already. That roots have got into that compost now, so they can come on aqua pots. We'll have a look at them.
That'll be great.
Sound. Thank you very much.
No worries, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, time for a pint, Dan.